Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Yes, I know I've been gone all weekend. The game is done. It's time to move on. There's not even a point in reviewing it, but we'll talk about a few things. We just need to hope that the equipment keeps working. You know, we can't do anything right if the equipment isn't consistent and it isn't working. What would Right then, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Don't worry, we're going to talk about that. The VAR that magically switches off. What a country, honestly. You know what, for years I always used to hate it when folk would say, Scottish football's tin pot. I'm starting to feel it. I'm really starting to feel it. But today, I want to sit here and do a kind of more chatty video. A sit back, relax, let's just gab about different things. Yeah, I've been away all weekend. I've not had the chance to review the game. So we're going to try and talk about wee bits and bobs from it, and you know, we'll talk about the disaster that is Hampden Park. We'll talk about VAR and the wider context of yesterday's game. I know Celtic weren't directly involved with yesterday and the VAR switching off, but it's still, you know, it's something that regards us in the wider context of our game. So I want to talk about a few things, but there's some big news coming out about Georgios Giakoumakis that we need to talk about as well. Very quickly, let's just touch on Saturday a little bit because I've not had a chance to. 2-0 winners at Hampden through to yet another cup final. The chance for Ange Postecoglou to win back-to-back League Cups here at Celtic. The trophy that kick-started his career. It wasn't the prettiest game of football, I didn't think. Not from my perspective anyway. However, watching any game at Hampden is never pretty. You know, the views, the pitch, everything else. Just a horrible place to go. You probably had more fun watching it at home if you weren't there. But I was there. I watched it from the stands. And we got the win. That's what matters. You know, we had to fight hard. Kilmarnock certainly didn't make it easy. There has been some controversial takes from the game as well, but ultimately I'm happy Celtic have booked their place in that League Cup final. A tough task again. We're going to be playing Rangers. Will we see a throwback to the last time we took them on in a League Cup final? Who knows? But yeah, a huge opportunity for us. Some good performances. I thought Dyson Maeda, the man who got the first goal, was just absolutely brilliant yet again. He is really on form at the minute. He's been playing like our best, I think. Right now, you could argue he's been our best player. Just on form alone, since the return from the World Cup, he's been undeniably incredible for us. And he's someone who's had to take a lot of stick and we've had to be really, really patient with. But I always did say, with a little bit of confidence to his game, he would come good for Celtic and he would be very reliable. And we're seeing that right now. We're seeing how reliable a player he is. He's scoring goals. He's making goals. We've seen Kilmarnock last week. He was vital in getting Jota that goal. He got the assist. He changed the game, put it on its head. He got us the opener here at Hampden to give us that bit of comfort when I think we really needed it. The weather, the pitch was against us. I think that if we didn't get the goal at that point in the game, the longer it would have went, I think the more difficult it would have got, and Kelly would have probably favoured our chances a little bit more. So he popped up in a really big moment for us. And along with some other good performances, it was a good job, well done for us, and getting to another cup final at Hampden is massive. Our record at Hampden still unbelievable over the past 5-6 years. So yeah, I'm very happy. And Georgios Giakoumakis, was that the farewell? Is that what it is? Are we saying goodbye to Georgios Giakoumakis? We might be. So the main talking point for today's video is there has been an update on the potential exit of the Greek striker Giakoumakis. Urawa Red Diamonds, we spoke about them last week. It was the club that Georgios Giakoumakis was linked to. Well, they are back and it looks as though agreement has been reached between the two clubs for the transfer of said player. €4 million, £3.5 million. It's not what I wanted to hear. I don't want to see him go. I really don't. That goal against Kelly just says it all, really. How much that I think he's been great here. He fits in. He can pop up in important moments. He basically finished that game off for us. You know, the passion that he showed in scoring his goal, it looks like a player that if we offered the right contract would stay at the club. So I don't want him to leave. It is the way it's going. It's the direction that the ship is sailing. I don't think that can be changed now. But for £3.5 million, I can't help but feel that this is a massive mistake from the Celtic board. And I'm not saying that if he wants to go, we should forcibly, you know, keep him around. You know, we shouldn't just force that upon him. It's not right to keep a player here that doesn't want to be here. That it ultimately could cause anything amongst the changing room. You don't want unhappy players. But for £3.5 million, I think the board have kind of shot themselves in the foot a little bit. We signed them for what, £2.5 million, so we're making £1 million profit. I suppose, you know what, profit's profit. But this is a guy who I don't imagine is asking for a hell of a lot more money than what he's already getting. I mean, he's probably got to get a decent rise now if he moves to Japan. He's probably getting a good wage increase there. But I don't imagine he would have been asking the Celtic board for anything too outrageous. And if that was to keep him around for another 2 or 3 years, I think it could have been well worth doing that rather than landing ourselves in a position now where we might be scrambling for a replacement striker. We know that it looks as though Cho won't be joining us. Kasper Tengsten ended up taking a move elsewhere. Of course, we were linked to the Polish lad as well, but that's went quiet. I don't quite know if we're ready to replace the goals that Giakoumakis gives us. If Cho was the guy, I'd be happy. I'd be saying, okay, right, fair enough, let's just make the move, switch, straight swap. But now that we're in this position, I think for £3.5 million, we could have maybe saved ourselves a lot of bother by maybe giving him that new contract if it wasn't too outrageous. Of course, none of us will know how much he was asking for. You can only speculate, and I'm sure the forums will be throwing around numbers that would maybe suggest what he was looking for, but we'll never know until it's revealed by one party one day. But I just, this is a guy who, last week, Celtic were apparently valuing at £8 million. Now, I didn't think Celtic would get £8 million. I was thinking maybe 5-6 million. 8 was maybe a bit ambitious, but it was what the club apparently valued at. For us now to be selling for 3.5, I think we've just backed ourselves into a corner with no other option but to let him go. And that's now kind of frustrating. I've been accepting of the fact that he's leaving for the last few weeks now, but to see him leave in these circumstances, it does frustrate me, I must admit. Especially because he's popped up with that goal at the weekend, and it just goes to show you the guy offers goals. The guy is clinical enough to be given a bigger contract. I think he's given us so much over the past year and a half. So yeah, a little bit annoyed at what the transfer fee may be here for the big man. Fabrizio Romano is the one who reported on this literally about half an hour ago, the update. So he understands a €4 million package. Apparently MLS side Atlanta United are still interested in the player. Never knew they were in the first place, but apparently still trying to sign the player, but personal terms are under discussion with Urawa in Japan. So an agreement has been reached between both clubs. It is now just down to personal negotiations for that contract. Now there's every chance he might look at these negotiations and say and he might end up sticking around, but I wouldn't get your hopes up, Giakoumakis fans. I think that he will be gone by perhaps the end of this week. There is that last chance of a last dance on Wednesday night at Celtic Park, but if negotiations are underway with Urawa and they go well, the initial talks go well, I think that he probably won't even feature on Wednesday. He could be off. He could be over to Japan to see things and get medicals and all the rest of it. So yeah, that's the update on Giakoumakis. It has been a bit kind of topsy-turvy for the last couple of weeks, waiting to see what's happening with figures and teams. But yeah, there you go. Giakoumakis. Right, I wanted to have a wee gab today, just a chat about different things in regards to the weekend, the two League Cup semi-finals, Celtic's position in that now being in the final. And then obviously some of the takeaways from yesterday's game as well, which do actually impact Celtic. Fair play, Rangers are through to the final, we'll meet them there, that's all well and good. I'm not here to talk about Michael Beale or anything like that. There's plenty of things I probably could say about Michael Beale because he's certainly got enough to say about Celtic. But I'm going to try and leave that out for now because I can't be bothered ranting about someone who I think is quite irrelevant at the moment. Celtic are through. We played at Hampden. Hampden Park is a joke. Hampden Park and the SFA are a joke. There has to be much needed improvement to that stadium, and I think both managers have kind of touched on in the Derby side of things, Celtic and Rangers, how bad the surface was at the weekend. It was incredibly bad. This is the national stadium of Scottish football. It is obviously where we play our cup semi-finals, our cup finals, which are hosting 2 games over the course of 2 days. And they can't get a proper surface. The weather was shocking. I know you've got to give exceptions sometimes, but what the players are playing on is nowhere near the standard required for a cup football at this level. And it just looks bad on our game, along with the VAR situation, which is the one I want to talk about even more. Now, you can get your knickers in a twist, Rangers fans, if you're watching to this point, about the apparent penalty Kilmarnock should have got on Saturday. But I more want to talk about the VAR just turning itself off yesterday and having to play a portion of the game without VAR. It's getting to the point now where we're a laughingstock. Not just because of our poor refereeing, for just the overall state of our game. I have always been, right? I've always been so against the idea of Celtic playing in England. And over the past 6 months, I must admit, I probably would be signing petitions to get us moved to England. Because it's getting embarrassing up here. It's laughable that the refereeing system, which is already bad enough in the first place, is going off for, I don't know how long it was altogether, but 10, 20 minutes, and then just turning back on when there's already a problem with the consistency in our referee decisions. You can't even get the cameras to work consistently. How on earth are you going to get the referees to work consistently? It makes everything so confusing. It means the referees are missing things. Whereas if something happens on before or after that point, it could be the exact same, but the cameras catch, then decisions are going to be different, and there's no consistency. Between that and the state of our national stadium, not just the pitch, but the stadium itself, this country is genuinely, I think, a laughingstock sometimes. And I hate saying that because I love Scottish football, I love defending Scottish football, sticking up for Scottish football, I love watching Scottish football. But sometimes it is indefensible. It is laughable, and it's hard to actually watch and take in what is happening. It almost feels like a parody of an actual football match, and that's exactly what happens yesterday in that game of Rangers and Aberdeen when the VAR's off. You get the Tannoy announcer coming back on saying VAR is back. That's not how it should be working. If the VAR is off, it should probably stay off from that point, but they should be trying their best to get it back in time and probably not resuming the match until it is, just for the sake of consistency. Now, I know we're stuck with time restraints, and it's not as simple as that. You're not going to exactly keep the fans hostage in the stadium until you can maybe get it working, in case you can't. But I just can't believe that this is the state of our leagues and our referees. I'm getting fed up. Anyway, Celtic are through to the final. I don't want to yap on forever. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a tough game. I really do think that, we should be winning. I think we're just a far better side. And it's all about how you turn up in the day. But if we turn up and play our best, we should be winning the game. But it will be a challenge. Rangers will be up for it. And obviously, if the pitch is in any sort of a similar state as what it was over the weekend, then it'll probably suit Rangers more, because I think we benefit from a good surface, whereas I think Rangers in recent times have maybe benefited from the kind of rough side of a game, or a little bit of scrappiness, you know what I mean? So we'll just have to wait and see. But both of us through to the final. It'll be interesting to watch. And Giakoumakis. What was that? Giakoumakis away. There's one to cry on at the end of this video. Nice to be back. I'll be back all week. Sorry for being away at the weekend, but that'll do. I've been yabbing on. Just wanted a wee chat, really. Right, I'll see y'all next time.